ready to ditch the grid. Today we're going off-grid, vicariously, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
with YouTuber Tiffany Silver.
Sounds fun.
She spent 24 hours camping and crawfishing,
Oh, wow.
all powered by a portable power station.
Interesting.
We're going to be looking at her video, of course,
Okay.
and really see what she did, what worked, and maybe get inspired for our own little outdoor adventures.
Yeah, this is cool because usually we think of roughing it as like ditching all the gadgets.
Right,
But using technology can actually like enhance our connection with nature.
right.
It's a whole new way to think about self-sufficiency.
Yeah. So before we even get to the campsite, Tiffany shows us this Bluetti AC10 power station.
Okay.
This thing's kind of the unsung hero of the whole trip.
Yeah,
It's pumping out 1,800 watts.
which is a lot.
Yeah, it's serious power, especially for something you can just like pack up and take with you.
Like you wouldn't normally associate that much power with camping, right?
Yeah.
You could run power tools, an electric stove.
Yeah, she even mentions using it to pre-charge all of her gear before she even left home.
Oh, wow. That's smart.
That's a level of prep I don't think most people would even think of.
I know, right?
It's really interesting, like it's this shift from surviving to thriving off-grid.
Right.
You're not just you're bringing a piece of home comfort with you.
Yeah, it really blurs the lines between traditional camping
Yeah.
and something more empowered.
Yeah.
But speaking of empowerment,
Yeah.
let's talk about where Tiffany sets up camp.
Okay.
This wasn't just any random spot in the woods.
Right.
She chose a secluded area
Uh-huh.
that had recently been hit by a hurricane.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a challenge.
That definitely adds an extra layer of wow to the whole thing.
Yeah. And remember, she's completely off-grid here, folks.
Totally. Yeah.
No backup generators or anything.
Yeah.
It's just her gear, and that Bluetti.
That's it.
And the first thing she does after setting up camp is she goes after her lunch.
Really?
Grabs a simple pole spear and a mask, dives into the water,
Oh.
and catches enough crayfish for a full meal.
That's amazing.
And she gets so excited about the size of the crayfish claws.
I love that.
It's great.
It's so captivating.
Yeah.
You feel like you're right there with her experiencing it.
Yeah.
But catching your food is only half the battle, right?
Right.
You got to cook it.
That's where the Bluetti really shines.
Okay.
So all those technical specs we talked about,
Hmm?
they become tangible for the viewer.
Okay.
She sets up this portable electric stove,
Okay.
plugs it straight into the Bluetti,
Yeah.
and boom, she's got a working kitchen in the wilderness.
Awesome.
She even mentions the stove uses 1,000 watts of power,
Wow.
and the Bluetti's battery level barely even dips.
It's amazing how much power that thing can hold.
Yeah.
And remember those pesky mosquitoes?
Oh, yeah.
She's running a mosquito zapper off the Bluetti at the same time that she's cooking.
Oh, wow.
That's what I call multitasking.
Multitasking at its finest.
But we're not talking about just boiling those crayfish.
Right.
Tiffany goes all out.
Oh, really?
Sweet potatoes, corn spices.
Wow.
She's whipping up a gourmet meal out there.
This isn't just basic survival.
Right.
This is like using technology
Yeah.
to create an experience
Yeah.
that's comfortable,
Yeah.
but still connects you with nature.
Absolutely.
It's about choice.
Yeah.
But of course, all that cooking and zapping drains the battery a bit, right?
It has to.
So this leads to one of the most mind-blowing parts of the video.
Okay, let me guess. She pulls out some hidden solar panels to recharge.
Not quite.
Okay.
Remember how I said she pre-charged everything?
Yeah.
That meticulous planning comes into play here.
Okay.
She plugs her GoPro batteries and this high-powered diving flashlight into the Bluetti,
Okay.
but only for the exact amount of time they need.
Wow.
Talk about efficient energy use.
That's a really crucial lesson for anyone that wants to live off-grid.
Yeah,
It's not just about having the power, it's knowing how to manage it wisely.
exactly.
But let's jump to the next morning. The sun rises. Tiffany's had a restful night under the stars, and she checks the Bluetti's battery level
Okay.
after a night of charging and running lights.
All right.
Any guesses on how much juice is left?
I'm going to say like maybe 70%.
Okay.
60.
You're close.
Oh, really?
She's still got 40% battery left.
What?
I know.
That's incredible.
That really puts the power station's capacity into perspective.
Yeah.
And think about it, that 40% powered a saw for clearing brush, an electric stove, a mosquito zapper, lights, a camera, and a flashlight.
That's amazing.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It really makes you think differently about what's possible with off-grid living.
It does.
You don't have to sacrifice comfort or convenience to enjoy nature.
Right.
It's really cool.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive into Tiffany Silver's 24 hours off-grid.
Okay.
We've seen her tackle the elements, catch her own food, cook a delicious meal all powered by a single portable power station.
It's pretty remarkable.
But this is just the beginning. Road. Stick with us for part 2, where we'll explore the bigger implications of this technology and what it all means for the future of off-grid living.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, we're back. And, man, seeing Tiffany whip up that meal in the middle of nowhere really got me thinking.
Yeah.
Is roughing it even a thing anymore?
That's a great question, and the answer is getting more and more complicated as technology evolves.
Right.
What's interesting is that Tiffany's experience isn't an anomaly.
Right.
This is a larger trend, with portable power stations becoming more powerful, more affordable and accessible.
So it's not just like diehard survivalists or wealthy tech enthusiasts.
Exactly. It's opening up possibilities for everyday people who want to experience the outdoors but don't want to sacrifice comfort or a reliable way to charge their phone.
Right, exactly.
It goes beyond convenience, though.
Okay.
It's about freedom to choose how you connect with nature.
Okay. I see that, like, she could have just stuck with canned beans. Cold sandwiches. But the Bluettis gave her the option to cook a real meal.
Right.
Have a mosquito-free evening.
Yeah.
And capture those great underwater shots.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And imagine the possibilities for people with disabilities or medical conditions.
Oh, yeah.
Who might have thought that off-grid living was out of reach.
Right.
Suddenly it becomes more feasible.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It makes the outdoors more inclusive.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the environmental impact.
Okay.
We're all about sustainability.
Of course.
Is relying on a power station really the most eco-friendly way to go off-grid?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
The answer's not black and white.
Okay.
While a portable power station is definitely cleaner than a gas-guzzling generator, it all comes down to how you charge it.
So if you're plugging it into a coal-powered grid at home, you're not exactly winning any environmental awards.
Right. But here's where things get really exciting. Remember how Tiffany mentioned that the Bluetti can be charged with solar panels?
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
You charge the station with renewable energy, take it off-grid, and you're essentially creating your own little closed-loop system, minimizing your reliance on fossil fuels.
Exactly. It's like taking a mini power plant with you.
Right.
But one that harnesses the power of the sun.
That changes the conversation.
It does.
We're not just talking about powering gadgets.
Right.
We're talking about a potential pathway to sustainable, self-sufficient living.
Yes.
Both on and off the grid.
Exactly.
This is getting deep.
I know, it's exciting.
It makes you think about how we could use this tech to not only reduce our impact, but also become more resilient.
Totally.
In the face of power outages or even natural disasters.
Absolutely. Imagine having a reliable power source during emergencies.
Right.
One that doesn't rely on a fragile grid.
That can be knocked out by a storm or whatever.
Sure. Exactly. It's about taking control of your own energy destiny.
That's pretty empowering.
It is.
But let's not forget the human element here.
Yeah.
I mean, watching Tiffany's resourcefulness and determination was inspiring.
She was thriving.
Yeah, she wasn't just surviving.
Yeah.
What do you think her experience teaches us about our own capacity to adapt and connect with nature?
What I find fascinating is that she embodies this blend of ancient wisdom and modern innovation.
Interesting.
She's tapping into those primal instincts for self-reliance, for problem-solving, working with the land. But she's doing it with the help of cutting-edge technology.
It's like she's proving that we don't have to choose between embracing technology and connecting with nature. We can do both.
Exactly. And in a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages of, like, fear and scarcity.
Yeah, totally.
It's refreshing to see someone not just surviving, but thriving in a challenging environment.
It is.
It reminds us that we are incredibly adaptable and resourceful creatures.
Yeah.
And when we combine that ingenuity with the right tools and mindset, there's really no limit to what we can achieve.
That's awesome.
Whether we're in the wilderness or navigating the complexities of modern life.
Well said. So for those listening who might be thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But how can I actually apply these concepts to my life?
Right.
What advice would you give them?
You don't have to go full-on off-grid hermit to benefit from this shift in thinking.
Okay.
It's about taking small steps, experimenting, and finding what works for you.
Okay.
Maybe start with a weekend camping trip with a portable power station.
Okay.
Or maybe invest in a small solar panel system for your home to reduce your reliance on the grid.
It's about recognizing that we have options.
Yes.
That we don't have to be passive consumers of energy.
Totally.
We can become active producers, taking control of our own energy destiny.
Yeah.
And in the process, maybe rediscovering a deeper connection to the natural world.
Beautifully put. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between the comforts of modern technology and the simplicity of nature.
Right.
And Tiffany's story is a perfect illustration of how we can achieve that harmony.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've gone from unpacking the capabilities of a portable power station to exploring the larger implications for sustainability, self-reliance, and even human resilience.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, but we're not done yet. All right, we're back for the final part of our off-grid journey, and I gotta say, I'm feeling pretty inspired to trade in my city apartment for a solar-powered cabin in the woods.
We'll hold your horses there for a second.
Okay.
Before you ditch the wifey for a wood-burning stove, let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
Tiffany's 24-hour adventure was cool.
Yeah.
But it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so paint the picture for us then.
All right.
What trends are shaping the future of off-grid living?
Well, off-grid living is going mainstream.
Really?
It's not just about escaping society anymore.
Right.
It's about consciously choosing a different way to live, one that's aligned with your values and being aware of your impact.
So it's like environmentalism,
Yeah.
self-sufficiency, a little adventurous spirit.
Exactly. People from all walks of life are drawn to reducing their reliance on traditional systems.
I can see that.
Whether it's for ecological reasons,
Right.
economic reasons,
Right.
even personal fulfillment.
Okay, yeah. It all makes sense. The rising cost of climate change, people wanting more meaningful experiences.
Right. It's pushing people towards alternative ways of living.
And off-grid living isn't one size fits all, is it?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
It can look like anything from a tiny house on wheels to an entire eco-village.
So it's not just about like going completely off the grid,
Right.
living like a hermit.
Exactly. It's about finding the right balance for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's incorporating off-grid elements into your existing lifestyle,
Right.
like solar panels on your roof,
Yeah.
or growing your own food,
Yeah.
taking back control,
Right.
being more conscious.
It reminds me of what you said before about shifting from passive consumer to active producer. It's a powerful concept.
It is, and that shift in mindset is driving so much innovation in off-grid tech.
Like what?
Solar panels are becoming more efficient, more affordable.
Right.
Battery storage is getting better.
Okay.
We're even seeing advancements in water filtration and waste management,
That's amazing.
making off-grid living more practical and sustainable.
So the future of off-grid living isn't about roughing it or sacrificing comfort.
Right.
It's about using tech to create a more harmonious, sustainable way of life.
Exactly. And this isn't some far-off vision.
Okay.
It's happening now.
Really?
People are building tiny houses, starting community gardens,
Wow.
experimenting with renewable energy.
That's really cool.
They're finding creative ways to reduce their impact.
It's awesome. And Tiffany's video shows how we can use technology to enhance our connection with nature.
Totally.
Not detract from it.
She wasn't giving anything up.
Right. She was able to enjoy the outdoors and still have access to the tools and comforts.
That made her experience better.
Yeah, exactly. It's about recognizing that technology isn't inherently good or bad.
Right.
It's all about how we choose to use it.
And when we use it to empower ourselves, to live more sustainably, to connect with nature,
Yeah.
that's when things get really exciting.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I want them to realize that the future of off-grid living isn't just about escaping to the wilderness.
Okay.
It's about creating a more intentional way of life,
Okay.
a sustainable way of life,
Yeah.
an empowering way of life.
Regardless of where you live.
Exactly.
And it's not about radical change. It's about those small steps.
Yeah.
Experimenting and finding what works for you.
It's about remembering that we have choices.
Yes.
We can shape our own future.
Absolutely.
And the power to create a more sustainable and fulfilling life is in our hands.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up our exploration of off-grid living. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, the journey to a more sustainable and empowered life starts with a single step.
And who knows, maybe that step will lead you to a crayfish boil under the stars powered by the sun.